Hello, yogis. Namaste. Welcome to today's yoga practice. This is your root to rise flow. We'll be grounding and balancing our root chakra, as well as rising up and flying today. Our peak poses are headstand and Bakasana crow pose. And if you're like, oh my gosh, headstand, I could never. Yes, you can. I will guide you through it. There will be an option for dolphin pose if you're just not getting upside down today. But let's try it, right? So we're going to go ahead and start off nice and easy, seated Sukhasana. Taking a tall spine and just attuning to this present moment. Noticing what's going on in your internal landscape and sending your breath there. Just bring you back to this present moment. Settling in. And if you'd like to bring in a pranayama for tonight's practice, breathing through the nostrils, we can have a slight constriction in the throat, inviting in our ujjayi. From here, we'll go ahead and send our feet straight out in front of us, finding Dandasana staff pose. We'll start warming up the legs by rolling out the ankles, swooshing our feet from side to side. And inhale, arms come overhead, tall spine. Exhale, reaching for your toes, letting your head hang, putting a good bend in your knee if you need it. We're focusing on our chest connecting to our thighs more than we're focusing on touching our feet here. Deep breaths. Next inhale, we're going to rise back up. Left foot comes to the inner right thigh. As we inhale, arms come overhead, turn to the toes. Exhale, reaching for your right foot, letting your head hang. Deep breaths here. Next inhale, we're going to rise back up. Taking a breath to switch out our legs. And as you're ready, we'll inhale, arms come overhead, turn to the toes. Exhale, reaching for your left foot, letting your head hang. Staying connected to your deep, steady breath. Next inhale, we're gently going to rise back up. And from here, we're going to find our way to a tabletop position, continuing to warm up the spine with cat-cow, Marijanasana. Inhale, dropping the belly, gazing up, cow pose. Exhale, arching the back, tucking your head under, cat pose. And just working with your own breath cycle here. Coming back to neutral spine, take a deep breath in. Exhale, send your hips back, reaching forward, Balasana, child's pose. Deep breath here. Walking our hands over to the left side of the mat, we send our breath to the right side body. Coming back to center for one deep breath here. We'll walk our hands over to the right side of the mat, sending our breath to the left side body. Next inhale, we'll bring it back to center. One more deep breath here. Next inhale, round the spine forward, hips drop as we find upward facing dog. Tucking the toes, deep breath in. Exhale, hips in the air, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Savasana. It's our first down dog of the practice, so feel free to pedal out your knees, move your hips, take what you need. From here, we're going to step our feet towards our hands. Inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, let it fall. Hands come to the mat. We walk it out, downward facing dog. Option for chaturanga, or you can just inhale right to your upward facing dog. Really pushing ourselves up. We're creating space between the shoulders and the ears here. And exhale, bringing it back, tabletop. Finding cat-cow or inviting in whatever organic movement is calling to you. Maybe that's hips side to side. Maybe it's Balasana to up dog. Maybe it's some little spinal rolls. And coming back to our neutral tabletop, we'll inhale right hand into the sky, rolling out the wrist, opening up through the front of the chest. Exhale, right hand sails across the chest, left hand reaches forward, finding thread the needle. This is a beautiful place to stay, but if you'd like to go further, left hand can reach behind the back, finding a partial bind. Deep breaths here. Releasing our left hand back down to the mat. We'll use that to push ourselves back up to tabletop, where we'll find that organic movement. Coming back to neutral spine. Next inhale brings your left hand into the sky as we roll out the wrist, opening up through the front of the chest. Exhale, left hand sails across the chest, right hand reaches forward, finding thread the needle on the other side. If you took the option for partial bind on the other side, do so again here. We're trying to keep it even. Releasing that right hand back down to the mat. We'll use that to push ourselves back up to tabletop. And we'll tuck the toes, deep breath in. Exhale, coming back to downward facing dog, pedaling out the knees. We're moving through another sun salutation. Walking the feet towards the hands. We'll inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let it fall. Placing our hands on the mat, we'll walk it back out to down dog. Option for chaturanga, or you can just go right into your upward facing dog. Pushing ourselves up off the mat. Tucking the toes. Exhale. We're finding plank pose, really pushing the mat away. Abs are activated. Deep breaths here. Next inhale brings our left hand into the sky, finding a side plank. Option to bring your right knee down to the mat if you need a little bit of support here. Staying connected to that deep breath. Exhale, bring it back. Taking a breath here in plank pose. Inhale, right hand comes into the sky, finding side plank on the other side. We'll bring it back to center plank, taking another deep breath here. And exhale, hips in the air, downward facing dog. Good job. From here, we're going to walk our feet towards our hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let it fall. Inhale, we're going to rise all the way up, finding Tadasana mountain pose. Rolling our shoulders back. And just taking a breath in the standing asana. From here, we're going to widen our stance. Toes are pointed towards the corner of the mat. For 5-pointed star, our arms are open. We're nice and tall. Toes point forward, hands come to heart center. Exhale, we're hinging forward at the hips, finding our way down to the mat or blocks for a wide-legged forward fold, taking whatever little adjustment you need for this to feel really good on your body. Our head hangs low here. Maybe bringing your elbows to the mat. And we're just going to start playing around with stacking the bones. So I want you to imagine your shoulders and then your hips finding their way to right on top of your shoulders. And just really feeling that inversion. We'll inhale to a halfway lift. Taking a breath here. Inhale, right hand comes into the sky, getting a little twist. Exhale, bring it back down to the mat. Inhale, left hand into the sky, little twist the other way. Exhale, bring it back down to the mat. And releasing to our wide-legged forward fold. We're going to walk our feet and hands back to a downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Savasana. Pedaling out the legs, taking what you need. Next, inhale, right leg comes into the sky. Bending the knee to open the hip. Exhale, right knee steps forward, left knee drops into a low lunge. Feel free to grab a blanket or fold your blanket underneath your left knee here, because we're going to be rocking back and forth. So we want to make sure that we're nice and protected. So we're in low lunge. Inhale, arms come overhead. Exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, straighten the arms, straighten the front leg. We're coming into a gate pose. Exhale, cactus the arms, low lunge. We're going to move through a few breath cycles here, taking all the time you need to get into this pose, listening to your body, and just cultivating that sense of balance here as well. We'll take one more round of breath here. And hands come down to the mat, left toes tuck, left knee raises, right foot meets the left, Adho Mudra Savasana. Pedaling out the knees, moving the hips, whatever you need. Next inhale brings our left leg into the sky, bending the knee to really open up the hip. Exhale, left foot steps between the hands, right knee drops as we find low lunge on the other side. We'll inhale, rising on up, arms come overhead. Exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, straighten the arms, straighten the leg. Gate pose. And exhale, low lunge. We'll move with our own breath cycle here. Taking as much time as you need to fully arrive in each pose. And we'll finish up whatever round of breath you're on. Hands come to the mat, tucking the right toes, right knee raises. Left foot meets the right in downward facing dog. Taking a breath to pedal out the knees. Take what you need. And from down dog here, we're going to bend the elbows, finding our way into dolphin pose. From here, we're going to start walking our feet towards our hands as we can feel our bones beginning to stack. Okay, so we're here in dolphin. I'm going to have you release and just kind of sit down and watch this next part so I can demo this. So from dolphin pose, your arms are like this, right? Like if the camera is the mat. So your arms are like this. You're in dolphin. So I want you to bring your hands together so that your hands are on the mat like this. And your hands are creating a nice little cage to catch your head in. Okay, so you can see my hands on the mat. Dolphin pose. Switching my palms facing up, bringing my palms together. I'm going to walk forward until my head is in my hands. So what this looks like from the side. Okay. Down dog. Dolphin. Hands come together. Walking feet towards hands until your head comes into your neck. Be so careful here. There's not a lot of weight in your neck, but I still don't want you turning your head at all because that's just asking for neck injury. So, right here, boop.
And you're going to stack your bones so that your hips are right over your shoulders. We're going to bring one leg up and then back down. Another leg up and then back down. Maybe you're able to bring both up. Woo! This is really activating your core here. And we're coming right into our headstand. From there, you can just go ahead and straighten your legs. We're in a nice, beautiful headstand. You probably won't be able to flow in your headstand if it's your first time. And if that was not the explanation that made sense to you, I have others. Okay. So the other way that we do headstand, I really don't like. It's the tripod where your head is straight down and then you come up from here. I don't like this because I feel like it just leaves a lot of room to injure your neck. Whereas the way that we're doing it is totally in your forearms, and that's what's protecting you. So if you're not quite ready to fly, we can come to our dolphin pose as far into it as feels comfortable, and then just bring one leg into the sky. See how you're pretty much upside down? See how beautiful this is? Feel how much that's like burning your forearms right now? Yeah. And then from there, once you're comfortable, your head will come down and you can do the same thing. One up, one down. And this right here is a killer workout. Whew. And if even that, you're like, okay, so I'm stacking my bones. I feel like I could lift, but I don't trust myself not to just fall over and break my neck. Totally valid. First of all, if you do fall over, don't look back or anything. Just tuck your chin under, and then your forearms will be supporting you. So find a wall and just do your dolphin up against the wall. Hands, walking your feet until your bones are stacked. You're up against the wall. And then we can lift one, lift the other, and then find that wall. This is also a really great way to become aware of your bone stacking here. How close are your shoulders to the wall versus your butt? Whew. So that is something we'll talk about when we go over handstands. But for tonight's purpose, we'll just talk about headstand. So either finding that wall to help you get up, stacking your bones, or your shoulders right underneath your hip bones, and then your feet go right on top of your hips, and then we straighten. From here, we are activating our core. We're using our forearms to really push through. And honestly, if I feel this pose anywhere the most, I would definitely say it's in between my scapulas and my shoulder blades. Whew. Yeah. So I'll just give you another minute to kind of play around with your dolphin or your headstand or whatever it is. And then we're actually going to meet in standing. So we'll find our way back to Tadasana, mountain pose. Rolling those shoulders back. I know we just did so much shoulder work. Whew. And then from here, we're going to widen our stance. Inhale, arms come overhead. Exhale, palms melt through, heart center, hips drop. We're coming into our Malasana Yogi Squat. I'm feeling really called to twist. So let's bring our right hand down to the mat. And then we can just twist. Left hand kind of reaches behind.
maybe you're able to take a full bind, grabbing behind that right knee. So it'll look like this. And maybe it doesn't look like that. Maybe it just looks like this. That's totally fine. And we'll come back to center. Left hand down, right hand reaches behind, getting a little twist. Maybe you bind. And we'll come back to center. So if you didn't get a chance to fly in your headstand, you'll get another chance here in Bakasana crow pose. So we start in yogi squat with our hands at heart center. And then we're gonna place our hands on the mat. Our knees are basically coming into the armpits. And then we're gonna bring our hips into the air. So right now I'm using a lot of like quad strength to keep me here. And then gluing those knees to the armpits, hands on the mat, really, really wide fingertips. I'm gonna start leaning forward. And maybe you come up to blocks, like you're standing on blocks here, because that's gonna bring you a little bit higher so that you don't have to use so much quad strength. Okay, and we're just gonna start hinging forward, getting a nice bend in the elbows. You can bring one foot up, really feel how intense that is, and bring it back down. Bring the other foot up, feel how intense that is, bring it back down. And as you're ready, we'll just hinge forward. Shins are really resting on our forearms. Feet can rise on up as we find our crow pose. And maybe you don't hold it. Maybe you just kind of get there for a second and then tap down. That's totally fine. Whew. My arms are like not wanting to hold this today. Here we go. Determined. Whew. Awesome. We'll take a minute to play around in that. Maybe you'd like to roll out your wrists. And as you're ready, we'll find our way to tabletop, tucking the toes, deep breath in. Exhale, hips in the air, downward facing dog. We're pedaling out the knees, moving the hips, taking what you need. Next inhale brings our right leg into the sky. Option to bend the knee. Exhale, right knee to right wrist. We're coming into Kapotasana, pigeon pose. Staying connected to the breath. This is a beautiful place to stay, but if you're practicing on your king pigeon or your mermaid pose, feel free to grab that back leg. Finding the variation of this pose that feels best on your body. And releasing that back foot if you took it. One more deep breath in. Exhale, gently releasing down to the mat, finding our way to a sleeping pigeon. Deep breaths here. Next inhale, we're gently rising back up to our Kapotasana. Hands on the mat, tucking the left toes, left knee raises. Right foot meets the left, downward facing dog. Pedaling it out, taking what you need. Inhale, left leg comes into the sky, bending the knee to really open up the hip. Exhale, left knee to left wrist, finding Kapotasana, pigeon pose on the other side. If you took the option to bend that back leg, finding mermaid or king pigeon, do so again here, keeping it even, listening to your body as you go. I feel like my next tutorial should be on king pigeon, because that could be a whole flow. And releasing that back leg if you took it. One more deep breath in. Exhale, gently lowering down to the mat, finding our way into sleeping pigeon on the other side. Deep breaths here. Next inhale, we'll gently rise back up, taking a breath here. Tucking the right toes, right knee raises, left foot meets the right, downward facing dog. Rounding the spine forward, hips drop, upward facing dog, pushing yourself up off the mat. Exhale, sending your hips back, Balasana, child's pose. From here, we're going to rise on up to a comfortable seated position on our knees. As we windmill our hands back to either the lower back or the mat behind you. As our head tilts back, we're finding hero's pose. Deep breaths here. Gently releasing out of our heroes. We'll come down to our sit bones. Soles of the feet come together, Bandha Konasana, butterfly pose at the top of our mat. Taking a breath here. And as you're ready, we'll gently lower our upper body down to the mat, finding our reclined butterfly, and taking whatever micro adjustment you need to get nice and comfortable. Deep breaths here. From here, we'll bring the knees together. Heels come by the hips, and so do the hands. We're getting ready for bridge pose. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, hips come into the air. Option to clasp the hands behind you. Deep breaths here. If you'd really like to challenge yourself, maybe you'd like to bring one leg into the sky. And back down. And the other leg into the sky, just working on our balance. And exhale, bring it back down. One more breath here. Exhale, return your hips down to the mat. Deep breath in. Exhale, hugging your knees into your chest. Give yourself some love. Releasing your head back down, we'll straighten the left leg, hugging the right knee. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, right knee sails to the left, upper body twists to the right, finding a supine twist. Deep breaths here. Next inhale, we'll bring it back to center. Exhale, hug the knees into the chest to align the spine. Releasing your head back down, we'll straighten the right leg, hugging the left knee. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, left knee sails to the right, upper body twists to the left as we find a supine twist on the other side. Deep breaths here. Next inhale, we'll bring it back to center. Exhale, hugging the knees one last time. Give yourself so much love. Releasing your head back down to the mat, we'll grab the outsides of the feet in Ananda Balasana, happy baby. If you'd like to invite in some movement, maybe you'd like to rock from side to side. Maybe straightening one leg and then the other. And as you're ready, we'll make our way into our final Savasana corpse pose. Taking whatever micro adjustment you need to get nice and cozy. Maybe you'd like to take legs up the wall or another restorative pose. That's totally fine. And as we come into our Savasana, focus returns to the breath. Our energy returns to the earth. As we begin this practice connected to the root, connected to the earth below. We rose on up like the mountain. We flew like the crow. And we came back down to this grounding energy of the earth, allowing it to hold us. Know that you are rooted. Know that you are safe. Know that you are supported. Know that you can make a home here, wherever you are, for this sacred space always exists in your heart. You can feel free to stay here as long as you need. But whenever you're ready, we'll start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Maybe take a full body stretch. And gently roll to the left side. As we push ourselves back up to a comfortable seated position, Sukhasana. We'll bring our hands to heart center, sealing in all of the good energy from today's practice in Anjali Mudra. Thank you so much for being here, for showing up for your practice, for trying something new. I'm so proud of you. The light, love, and divinity in me honors the light, love, and divinity in you. Thumbs come to the third eye, we bow. Namaste.